Hi guys, welcome back to another questions and answer video. So today I'm going to be answering one particular question that someone asks, and I've actually got an interesting story to go along with this that will be a very practical scenario where this situation has taken place. So the question was asked by Kay, and the question is it okay to use concrete blocks for a brick shed that's butted up against a fence and can't be rendered or cladded, or does it need to be rendered? So this question really deals with weatherproofing. All walls, external walls of a building need to be weatherproofed, and there are many ways of weatherproofing walls. So you can weatherproof a wall by cladding it. You can weatherproofing it by building a wall in bricks, and you can also weatherproof a wall by rendering it. In the case of concrete blocks, typically concrete blocks are not weatherproof in that they will absorb water, unlike your typical clay brick that is designed to repel water. So obviously water can be sucked in through mortar joints, but as a general rule a brick wall will be weatherproof against the elements, so it's an acceptable way of weatherproofing a wall. Also, very common way is to render a wall. So if you build a wall in block, you will have to render it. You can render it with sand and cement, but also in order for it to be weatherproofed, you will need to paint it or cover it with some sort of weatherproofing, which will typically be paint. There are some renders that you can apply, such as K-Rend, Weber, etc. Silicone-based renders, which are pre-colored and they are actually waterproof, so you don't need to paint those renders. Now I want to show you guys an example of a job that I've recently looked at, and actually the situation has come up. This is an actual extension job, and I'm going to show you how serious this situation can be and how costly it can be if you don't get this bit right. This is a job that we are actually likely to take on. The job has some serious structural issues as well as some poor workmanship. So this job was actually stopped by the council, and there's a lot of work that needs to be rectified. Now, the council, when they visited this job and actually stopped it, they produced a list of issues that needed to be addressed in order for the job to be back on course. Now, one of the issues, and I'm just going to read this out, which was the issue number 8 that came up on the list, was to do with a block wall that was not weatherproofed. So this is what they said. Facing the house from the garden, the right hand side extension wall, the side next to the neighbor's single story extension, is constructed of lightweight blocks. The block wall here will require render for weatherproofing. This may be difficult as the gap between neighbor's wall is approximately 150 to 100 millimeters wide. For those of you who are used to inches, that is typically about 6 to 4 inches wide. So you can already see it's pretty much impossible to render a wall with such a small gap between the extension wall and the neighbor's extension wall. So in these cases, the wall would need to be built out of brick or some sort of system that can be constructed and be weatherproofed at the same time. Now, a structural engineer actually visited this job and had to compile all the solutions to the list that the council had brought up. Now, one of the solutions, which I'm going to explain, I'm also going to show you guys on the drawing exactly where this issue is, and I'm going to explain what the remedy was. So if you look at item number 3 here, it says, due to poor workmanship with external skin lightweight block installed, cavity wall to be removed and replaced with a new cavity wall, shown thus in green as follows. External skin 102.5 millimeter brick wall, cavity 100 mm wide with 50 mm insulation, placed within cavity, and the inner skin 100 mm wide block with compressive strength of 7.3 Newton. So typically this is a typical cavity wall. So you've got an external skin, which he has specified to be done in brick, and then you have an internal cavity, and then you have an internal wall made out of block. Now, there was no way to really get around this problem without actually removing the wall. So this has real cost implications for this client, because an entire wall, which is about 6 meters long, including a reveal of about a meter, has to be removed, and that affects other walls which need propping up, and that also that wall is actually holding up the upstairs as well. So it means propping up the house to take this wall out. It also means propping up some steel work, which is actually sitting on the internal skin of that 6 meter run. So you can just imagine how much work has to be done now to remedy this issue, or because a whole wall has to come down just because someone put in a block wall which they didn't think needed to be rendered. It doesn't matter if it's a 1-inch gap. The rules, the council, building control don't care about that. That wall has to be rendered or has to be weatherproofed. So this is why it's really, really important to get things like this right. Something that some people may think as something simple and insignificant can end up costing thousands of pounds to rectify. So I just wanted to share this real life situation to show the importance of making sure that walls are weatherproofed. I hope that's been helpful and that's answered that question for anybody that wanted to know. And guys, we'll catch you up on the next video. So take care. See you soon.